Hello, I'm Mike Garcia with All Terrain Landscaping, and I'm here to share a few tips with you to help keep your system running smoothly throughout the season. Regular system checks are key to making sure your irrigation system performs properly. Things will and do go wrong, so you want to make sure to be checking on a regular basis. Run through each of the zones, see that the heads are coming up properly, that you have good pressure running to each of the heads, and that there's not a problem with any flooding or line breaks or head breaks. A maintenance system check is very simple. To begin with, find the main components on your system. Your backflow preventer is a great place to start. You want to make sure that none of the components are leaking. Next, we'll go over and see the valve boxes. If you know where they're located, pull the top off the lid and ensure that none of the valves are leaking themselves. Once you have located your valve boxes, remove the tops and ensure that none of the valves or the manifolds are leaking. Once you've checked your main components for leaks, next you'll want to run through each of your zones. What you're looking for is to make sure that all of your heads are running accordingly. Also, that we don't have too much overspray onto areas that you don't want watered. If we get a lot of overspray and water on concrete areas or sidewalks, we want to make sure to tighten up that stream. Once you've noticed all your heads are working properly and all of them are functioning, we want to check and make sure that we don't have any line breaks or breaks around the heads. See if you find some water bubbling up anywhere or pooling. If not, then we're good to go on to the next thing. Once you've completed your systems check and made sure that all your main components and all of your zones are functioning properly, the next thing we want to do is find your controller. Your controller is typically going to be located in the garage, in your basement, or somewhere along the outside of the home. After that, each zone will be watering a specific amount of time based on the area of the yard that it is in, how much sun exposure it may get, or shade. Once you have the regular day and time correct and you have your watering schedule set, you'll want to set up your zones particularly for each zone head type that you have. Pop-up heads are typically going to run anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. RVAN or MP rotator nozzles, like we saw in the backyard, are going to run anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. And rotary style type heads, like a 5000, are going to run anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the area that they're in, the season that we're currently in. You'll want to run extended times during the summer and less frequently during the fall and spring. Lastly, take care of your sprinkler system and avoid possible future damages by paying attention to the weather. Early spring weather can still freeze late into the spring. Typically, Mother's Day or Memorial Day are good times to have your sprinklers turn on. We're potentially out of freeze damage at that point. As we get into the winter and you're preparing to winterize your system, mid to late September is a great time to call in and get that scheduled. Generally, we won't see any freeze until late September, early October, or even later in the season. But by this time, temperatures are starting to come down. Your lawn won't require as much watering, so it's a great time to go ahead and start that process. Hello, I'm Mike Garcia with All Terrain Landscaping. Today I want to talk to you about your backflow preventer, also known as a pressure vacuum breaker. This is what we're looking for when you call into the company and you say, oh, I've got a broken main line or water leaking all over the place. You're going to be asked if you know how to shut off your water. The pressure vacuum breaker is going to be the easiest place for you to do this. It is about 12 by 12 inches. It's going to be mainly composed of brass and or copper fittings, and it'll be located about 12 to 24 inches off the ground. The places that you're going to find it primarily are going to be around the perimeter of your house. You may find it in a bed in the front yard or backyard, or there are a lot of commercial rocks that are fake that lay over the top of it as well. One of the things that we need to make sure of once you find your pressure vacuum breaker is that it's on. If you have a leak, the water is going to be running through, and there's an arrow that's going to tell you which direction the water is running. So to turn off the vacuum breaker, what you want to do is at the ball valve, turn the handle 90 degrees so that it is perpendicular to the ball valve and the pipe. Once you turn this off, the lines will decompress, and that should stop the leak. Also, with your pressure vacuum breaker, during the initial turn on, it is typical for water to bubble outside of the canopy. If that seems to continue when you're trying to pressurize your system, follow the arrow and turn off the downstream ball valve. Turn that 90 degrees once again so it is perpendicular to the ball valve and the pipe. Turn the water back on, and that should seal itself. If at this point it doesn't seal itself and it continues to leak, there may be problems with either the components inside, or there might be something that's causing an obstruction keeping the water flowing. If the backflow continues to be a problem, just turn the ball valve off downstream, or turn it off at your main water source where it supplies for the backflow system. At that point, please feel free to call All Terrain, set up a service appointment, and one of our techs will come out and get this remedied for you.
I'm Derek with All Terrain Landscaping, and just wanted to talk briefly a little bit about creating an outdoor space. Now, one thing we want to know about is how many people we're going to attain, what we're kind of thinking about, what we're looking at, and what our main objective are. Do we want to be able to make sure we have full coverage? Do we want some shade? Do we want sound? That's how we really dive into creating this outdoor environment. It's important to know how many people we're going to entertain, because that's going to help us dimensionally figure out how many people we can fit underneath this roof structure. Here we got a full hip style roof structure. We got the heaters, which helps us create that 11-month out of the year category. The main objective here is we want to create from the inside out. For this project, we ended up putting in these sliding glass doors, which brought this inside living room to the outside. We put in these heaters. They're all 220 volt, all on their separate switch, which really give this an 11-month out of the year, which you can sit down, entertain, and you can be out here in just a t-shirt and sometimes middle of December because of Colorado's weather. We also add in different features such as TVs, electrical, anything we want there. And lastly, to bring everything together, we of course have the fire pit at the end just to give the nice ambiance for everything. If any of this sparks your interest, happy to help you out, create your outdoor living space. Please give us a call. Happy to create your environment. Hi, I'm Derek from All Terrain Landscaping. One thing we get the most is how do we phase a project? Phasing a project, we start out by starting with a grand plan of how we want the end goal of our landscape to look like. With that said, we break each individual component down so we can talk about budgets. We try to stay within your budget at all times. With that said, we might have a conversation of, hey, can we stretch our budget a little bit here solely just to save us in the long run? We'd rather install something ahead of time that we're going to use in the future, which may push us beyond our limits. With that said, we're happy to sit down with each project and phase over time. Give us a call as we're happy to sit down and have the conversation of how do we create this dream landscape. Hi, I'm Derek with All Terrain Landscaping. Today I'm going to talk to you about 5 trends we're seeing in the industry. The first trend we've seen, and probably the most popular trend that we've seen, is creating an outdoor living space. With this, we're trying to bring the inside to the outside. With that said, we can do anything from pergolas, roofs, kitchens, patios, fire pits, fireplaces, anything that you can think of that's inside, we can create on the outside. The second trend we've started noticing more is outdoor speakers. With that said, it's not just your typical boombox sitting on the patio. We created a whole environment with different subs in different locations, different amps in different locations, and we can all do this without even touching the inside of your home. The third trend we've noticed the most is artificial turf. With the state trying to become a more water conscious environment, artificial turf is a great addition to the backyard and also creating a low maintenance environment. The fourth trend we've seen the most is outdoor heaters. We can do anything from electric to outdoor natural gas, and it's really creating an 11-month out of the year space for yourself. The fifth trend we've noticed is outdoor pools. It's a great way to extend your outdoor living space and also keep a private environment for you and your family. If any of these spark your interest, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help you along the way.
Hello, I'm Mike, and this is Derek. We're with All Terrain Landscaping, and we'd like to give you a few simple suggestions for water conservation. Our first tip for water conservation on the irrigation side would be changing out your sprinkler controller to a smart controller that has Wi-Fi capability, and you can also incorporate a wireless rain sensor. Second thing on the turf side might be to retrofit your heads. That would be change out to SAM PRS style heads with rotary style nozzles that have better uniformity and distribution of water.
The second option we could look at is artificial turf. It's low maintenance and significantly less water to your irrigation system. Our final option is xeriscaping part of your property. Xeriscaping involves cutting out a section of sod and replacing it with either mulch or rock or pavers and using low maintenance plants.
For additional ideas, please feel free to contact us at All Terrain Landscaping. We look forward to hearing from you.